Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm so excited for this. Debbie and I were just talking. It's a step up from being fully virtual on Zoom, all of us at home. So, hopefully next year will be a step up even further. Everyone will be here together.
That's what I'm looking for now. Nope, go for it. Page 26. Are we streaming yet?
In just a moment. Not yet.
Arthur, do you think this looks weird that I'm standing up here? Do you think this looks weird that I'm on this? I asked her if she wanted me to get a music stand.
Great.
Oh. He's still taller?
There we go. Wonderful. It looks like we are live. Perfect. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and
Shabbat
good
Shalom.
evening. We are so happy that you are joining us this evening as we commemorate Veterans Day Shabbat. We are going to begin with a slideshow honoring our veterans with Star Spangled Banner. We're so glad that you are here with us virtually this evening.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain,
for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
oh, beautiful for heroes proved in liberating strife,
Who more than self their country loved, and mercy more than life. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crowned thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. America, America, God shed His grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land. From California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving, and the dust clouds rolling, and the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking, I saw a sign.
We'll now continue with the singing of the Israeli national anthem, Hatikva. If you are not already standing, I invite you to stand or remain standing.
We're going to do Star Spangled
Oh, we're going to
Banner.
Star Spangled Banner? Okay.
Followed
Well,
by-
okay, then before Hatikva, actually, we're going to do Star Spangled Banner. So my apologies, the other order. So we'll do Star Spangled Banner first, and then Hatikva. Regardless, please rise. You may be seated. Once again, we virtually welcome you to Veterans Day Shabbat, and it's wonderful to see in the comments we are welcoming each other as well as we welcome Shabbat and sing together and honor the sacrifice, the dedication, and the service of each and every one of our veterans here in the States, in Israel, and around the world. So for those of you who are watching, veterans in our families, in our circles of friends, our veterans, like I said, who are watching here with us tonight, as well as, of course, our veterans who are with us in spirit, who we will continue to honor. I'd like to continue our service with an invocation. Almighty God, giver, sustainer, and strength of our lives, we ask for your blessing upon these veterans who have served in our country and in Israel's armed forces. Overseas and within our borders, they have defended us with courage. Many of them risked their lives to keep us from harm's way. Shield of Abraham and protector of Sarah, as you've watched over and sheltered these soldiers during times of war, so too may you guard them in times of peace. May they continue to serve their country, communities, and synagogues as champions of righteousness and warriors of justice. Guide their deliberations and bless them, that they, as partners with you in creation, help bring us closer to an age where all the world shall be at peace. And let us say together, Amen. We're going to continue with our candle lighting, welcoming light and hope this Veterans Day Shabbat. This is a pre-recorded candle lighting, so I'm honored to virtually welcome Babette Feibel, Ellie Kaufman, and Suzanne Siegel to light our Shabbat candles.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As this brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivot b'hazot ner shel Shabbat. Bless Adonai our God, sovereign and supreme, from the whole us with the sun. Command us to kindle the light of the sun.
Shabbat Shalom.
We'll continue in our service together with Chatzi Kaddish, and I invite you, if you are able, to please rise.
Yikra v'yikra shomei rabba Yomad divrach yirutei v'yamlich machutei B'chayechon v'yomechon Uv'chayei dekol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala ba'gala Uv'yizmar kariv V'imeru
Amen.
Yahei Shemeir haba mevora, Olam olam me'amaya, Yitbarak, Yitbarak v'yishtabak, Yitba'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh, Yithadar v'yit'ala v'yit'ala, Shemei dekudashah, Le'elam min kol, Birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, Damiram bi'alma, Va'imeru,
Amen.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamavorach,
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Le'olam Va'ed. We remain standing as we declare God's oneness with Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malachuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, ושבתך בביתך, ובלבתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקמך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובמשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיהם. אני אדוני אלוהיהם, אשר הוצאתיהם מארץ מצרים, להיות להם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיהם.
Rabbi Bonnie Capel was the first female rabbi in the U.S. military, having served in the U.S. Army Reserve for 38 years as a chaplain and retiring with the rank of colonel. She was also one of my rabbis growing up in Phoenix at Temple High, where I believe she still is today. Rabbi Capel writes about how in 2005 she spent Passover in Iraq, where she led a Seder for a small contingent of Jewish soldiers at Forward Operating Base Sykes. The Seder was held inside the secure area of the Tactical Operations Center. Rabbi Capel says, "It was quite a tense moment when we opened the door for Elijah, but a triumphant moment as we asserted our right as Americans to freedom of religious expression." After the Seder, one of the young soldiers told Rabbi Capel, "It's almost like being home." Rabbi Capel writes, "Few people who are not in the military truly understand the terror and the triumph, the boredom and the exhilaration of military life. As Jews, we especially appreciate the tremendous blessing of living in a democracy where we enjoy the free exercise of religion, a unique experience in American Jewish history. Too often, however, Jews and the military are invisible in the Jewish community. We just don't think of Jews serving in the U.S. Army, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps, or Coast Guard. But they are there, and it behooves us to recognize them, especially on Veterans Day, acknowledging their vital role as the guardians of the freedom we can never take for granted. By honoring veterans on Veterans Day, we revere and appreciate each one's individual story and sacrifice. Indeed, the best way to honor our veterans is to ensure that their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs are being met by the government they swore to protect and defend, and for the community to pay tribute to veterans by opening their hearts to hear veterans' stories." That is certainly our hope this Veterans Day Shabbat, that we may all participate in all of those things. So as we turn now to Micha Mocha, our prayer of freedom, and that freedom that we are so thankful for, that each of our veterans help us ensure, both here in America and in Israel, we are going to sing "This Land is Your Land." Please join us.
This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Island, from the redwood forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As our
going to continue together in our service with the Amidah, our standing prayers, beginning with Adonai Sifatai. I invite you once again, if you are able, to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanara Ha'elyon Gomel Hasadim Tovim V'konei Hakol V'zocher Hasdei Avot V'imahot Umevi Geula Livnei V'neihem Lema'an Shemo Ba'ahava Melech Ozer Moshiach Magen Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah Atah Gibor Elam Adonai Mechayeho Kol Hatav Lehoshia Bechakel Hayim B'chesed Mechayeha Kol Berachamim Rabim So make Noflim Verofei Holim Umatir Asurim Umekayim Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Hagevurot Umidomelach Melech Memid Umechayeh Umatzmiach Yeshua B'ne'emana Talach Hayot HaKol Baruch atah Adonai Mikayeh HaKol Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh U'Kedoshim B'chol Yom Yerchalu Chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh.
You may be seated, and we'll take a few moments of silent prayer. You may use either the words on pages 54 to 60 if you have a prayer book, but if not, you can also use the words that may be in your heart this evening. As we honor our veterans and also acknowledge this week the 83rd anniversary of Kristallnacht, the Night of Broken Glass, We dedicate this night to our defenders in America and in Israel who have defended goodness and decency and life, and we recommit to the work of abolishing hatred and oppression inside and outside our borders. At this time in our service, we'll take a moment and think of those who are or who have served in Sahal or the IDF, the Israel Defense Force. Even if not all of us are Israeli citizens, Israeli soldiers still defend our Jewish homeland of Israel, and many who wish Israel harm do wish harm for all Jews. Therefore, they are protecting us too. Israeli men and women who serve the mandatory 2 or 3 years in the army, right out of high school, by the way, are not only Jewish, but also Christian, Druze, and Muslim. Some of them are brave lone soldiers who aren't citizens themselves and left their homes from all over the world to serve Israel, including from the United States. And we're looking forward to hearing from our honored guest this evening, Michal Samuel, an IDF veteran and our Columbus Israeli ambassador. That will be later in this service. So our prayer for the IDF. I'd like to invite you to please rise for this prayer. May the one who brought blessings to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to our mothers, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless the soldiers of Israel's defense forces and all who stand guard in order to protect the land of Israel. Give them strength against our enemies and strengthen their spirit to preserve their highest values in these times. Protect them from all troubles and afflictions so that they will return in peace and joy to their families and friends. May they prosper as human beings and citizens in their land. And let us say, Amen. You may be seated, and we'll continue with the classic and moving Jerusalem of Gold.
אשר בדל יושבת ובלבה חומה.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושלום, המלכות ובירייך הנגדות.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושאור, עלות החוש ירייך אני כינור. חייב שורות המים, כיכר השוק ריקה, אין פוקדת הר הבית בעיר העתיקה. ובמרות אשר בסלע מייללות רוחות, ואין יורד אל המלך בדרך יריחו.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, עלו לחוס ובירייך אני כינור.
ירושלים של זהב ושל נחושת ושל אור, עלו לחוש ירייך אני כינור.
Well, again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and we are so honored to have so many veterans joining us tonight virtually, and we'd like to take this opportunity now, before we hear the tribute to the armed forces, to recognize each of you and your service. As we heard from the writing of Rabbi Bonnie Capel earlier, we know that these introductions are just a very small window into your service and reflect so many memories, accomplishments, triumphs, challenges, and losses. So I'd like to read the names of those who are joining us, and if you would like to add, we've got a pinned comment there. If you have not yet shared with us that you are here, feel free to add that in the comments as well. So here with us tonight is Ellery Block, New Jersey Air National Guard, McGuire Air Force Base, New Jersey. Also, Ellery and Marsha Block are paying tribute to their grandson, Captain Sean McVeigh, currently in the U.S. Army 1st Infantry Division, Fort Riley, Kansas. Herb Bronstein, Major, U.S. Air Force, Vietnam era, 1996 to 1999 as well. Barry DeRoe, U.S. Navy, Persian Gulf combat veteran. Larry Eisenman, U.S. Army Signal Corps, Korean conflict, France. Herbert Greff, U.S. Army, Fort Gordon, Georgia, Military Police School, 1961 to 1963, also past National Commander of the Jewish War Veterans. Saul Lobb, U.S. Army, Korean conflict, Korea and Germany, also Commander of Capital Post Number 122 of the Jewish War Veterans. Steve Seeskin, Petty Officer First Class, U.S. Navy, Vietnam and Cold War eras, 2nd Fleet Atlantic Ocean, 4th Fleet Caribbean Sea, and 6th Fleet Mediterranean Sea, 1971 to 1977. Herb Solomon, U.S. Army, 6th Armored Cavalry, Germany, 1956 to 1957. Gino Schifrin, Ordinary Seaman, U.S. Merchant Marine, Pacific Ocean, including Vietnam. David Stein, retired Lieutenant Colonel, U.S. Army, Commander 11th Battalion, 5th Brigade, 100th Division, Combat Medic Training, Vietnam era, Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Enduring Freedom, 1972 to 2006. Hal Tannenbaum, U.S. Army, 775th Artillery Battalion, Germany, 1956 to 1957. David Stein, Army, 1969 to 2006. And James Schnitzer, Air Force Staff Sergeant. Let's see. Dick Golden, 1945, U.S. Army. And I think that's everyone. Yeah, yep. So if you have another name to share of a veteran who's joining us, you're also welcome to leave that in the comments. But for now, we will continue with our tribute to the armed forces, which is going to be, again, pre-recorded, and we're so happy because usually we have the Shaaryanim Choir joining us every year. While unfortunately they can't be here in person, we are glad to have them joining us virtually to sing the tribute to the armed forces.
Army! First to fight for the right and to build the nation's might, and the army goes rolling along. Proud of all we have done, fighting till the battle's won, and the army goes rolling along. Then it's hard, hard day, the army's on its way. Count off the cadence loud and strong, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, wherever we go.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our honored speaker this evening for Veterans Day Shabbat, Michal Avera Samuel. Michal Avera Samuel was born in Gondar, Ethiopia, and made Aliyah as a young girl with her family in 1984 as part of Operation Moses. Michal is a leader within the Ethiopian Israeli community and has been advocating for the successful integration of Ethiopian Israelis throughout her professional career. She joined the Fidel Association in the year 2000 and served as Director of Professional Training, PR, Community Development, and Deputy Director prior to being appointed as Executive Director in 2011. She served as Executive Director until taking this position as Shlicha, as our Israeli ambassador here in Columbus, Ohio. I believe last September was when you and your family arrived in the middle of COVID. So we are so happy to welcome you here and to hear your story. Welcome, Michal.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Lynette. It's a really honor and pleasure to be here, especially in this day. I grew up in a very small village in Ethiopia. As a kid, the whole issue of serving and being in the army, it wasn't really stranger for me. When I was 4 years old, my oldest brother, we are 9 brothers and sisters. I'm the youngest in the family. My oldest brother was kidnapped by the Ethiopian army. And he served many years in the Ethiopian army. We didn't really knew what's happened with him because he was far away from our village. He was really away. And then in 1984, my family and we decided to move to Israel. We began our journey. So we left him behind, without knowing what's happening with him. And being in a journey, the whole, as a young 9 years old, it was really hard to imagine where we are going and how's Israel look like. And how's Jerusalem look like? When you sing the Yerushalayim Shel Zahav, it was one of the most significant songs that really connect us as a Jew, dreaming and hoping about Jerusalem. When we arrived to Israel in 1984, we heard so many things about the Israeli army, about the Tzahal. We knew that Tzahal is one of the best army and feel that all of us, we will be part of this journey. So most of my brothers and sisters, they joined to the army. They serve in the Israeli army. As you know, in Israel, you don't choose to serve in the army. This is your obligation. This is your duty. When you finish high school, just you can choose to serve in the army or national service. So to see the whole history of Israel based on veteran soldiers and the wars and the whole heroes, our heroes, many years, they were our Israeli soldiers. So being in an army and see all my brothers and sisters being in the army, it is something that we were very proud to be part of the protecting the Israel, protecting the Holy Land. I remember my father, he used to sit outside of the door and waiting for my brothers and us to see us with the uniform. Because for him, after many years, 2,050 years, dreaming about Jerusalem, suddenly his children protecting Israel, being parting and serving this country. And for us, it was part of our life. It's not something that every Israeli really serving in the army and doesn't feel he's the hero. This is part of our life. So it's hard to compare that when you choose to serve and then you really this is for part of your identity. For me to see all my nieces, and even to think about my oldest son, that he's going to be 18 soon. He's going to serve in the army. It's no question about. And the moral, the respect, and the way that we serve the army, it's one of our really obligation. And one thing that I always think how it's going to be different from the old generation, and how we can serve the army in a different way. And in a modern life, what is the service as an Israeli here and serving in the army? What is the future of my sons being serving in the army and protecting the country on one side, and how the army is going to be different or being more peaceful and protecting, and this is our goal as a young generation, dreaming about serving in the army. And for us, it's really been honoring the whole hero they did and served the country for many years. And for me, after being in service for 2 years, it's really honor to be here protecting Israel on one side, and the other side to come here and to serve as a shlicha, to talk about Israel, to tell the story of Israel, and to share the story of Israel as a diverse and a unique country. For me, it's closing a circle, and to be one of the Israeli representing here in state, and to talk about how Israel is really honoring and being a diverse society. And for us, it's really wonderful. And I know that so many Ethiopian Jews really see as a part of their life to serve the community and Israeli society. So thank you so much for letting me to talk about a little bit about my service as Israeli military and honor the Veteran Days.
Thank you so much, Michal, for sharing your story. Thank you for your service in the IDF. And I know we've had a few events with you virtually, and I'm just so happy that you are here with us for Veterans Day Shabbat. And I'm so excited for our community as we're able to open up more and able to be in person more, to welcome you back many, many more times, to get to know you and your family even better, and to hear even more of your story. I know there's a lot more there that you weren't able to get into, so I'm so excited for all of that in the future. Thank you again so much. We're going to continue in our service with our healing prayer with Misha Berach, as we think of those in our midst, in our community, and around the world who are in need of healing of spirit, of mind, and of body. If you have a name of someone whom you are praying for healing, you're welcome to leave it in the comments, and we will include it. All of the folks we are remembering, or we're thinking of for healing in our community, include Catherine Adler, Marcia Ames, Marilyn Altman, Lynn Adams, Sarah Bates, Deborah Belford, Barbara Belford, Marjorie Block, Paul Branson, Lee Budin, Jack Cashman, Dave Sadarquist, Dorothy Cohen, Rob Cohen, Lily Kovitz, Adrian Crawford, Rick Crawford, Taya Delano, Gary Dicker, Tony Diegler, Carrie Ebert, Sylvia Eckstein, Phil Edelsberg, Elaine Ellick, Michael Fiorelli, Rachel Fish, Hilda Glazer, Olivia Glick, Jean Goldberg, Jimmy Green, David Haas, Don Kerr, Peter Levy, Barb Lucas, Byron McGee, Angel Marrero, Fred Martin, Minna Melton, Connie Minarovic and David Minarovic, Caleb Moses, Dorothy Muncie, Dick Nettleman, Robert Oakley, Nick Parisi, Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Aaron Plasko, Rashi Pristowski, Jessica Rathkopf, William J. Rees, Barry Richmond, Zachary Rowe, Emma Rose, Irving Rose, Danny Rothschild, Jeremy Rikus, June Sahara, Ralph Sauer, Susan Shermer, Barbara Schuster, Richard Scher, Lou Supowitz, Greg Vinoker, Robert Weiss, and Maddie Weiss. We're also thinking of Marilyn Ashkin, Shirley Hoffman, Harlow Nemeth. Those are all the names that I see so far. If you have another name that you're adding, we'll include it in afterwards. Otherwise, we'll sing together our prayer for healing. Oh, one more. Sheila Richards, Lisa Clark, and Steve Hartstein. I'm gonna come back. Now we'll join together. We're going to begin concluding our service first with Aleinu L'Shabeach. I invite you, if you are able, to please rise.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'teit gedula yotzei bereshit, shelo asan goyeh haratzot, velo samanu k'mishpachot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We remain standing as we prepare for Kaddish Yatom, our mourner's Kaddish. So what we'll do is we will read the names of those whom we are remembering for Kaddish, and then after we recite our Kaddish prayer, we'll then turn to the veterans, those from our armed forces and from Israel's armed forces who are remembering as well, and then we will hear taps. So this evening we are thinking of those whom we lost both recently and in years past. We're recalling those whom we've lost in the last 30 days. We remember Molly Birnbaum, Joe Ermel, Arlene Feit, and Barbara Schifrin. We're also recalling those whom we lost at this season in years past and are observing Yartzeit. We remember Ronald Benjamin, Doris Bonfield, Mary Brightman, Ella Serrani, David Dobris, Paul Carestis, Hyman Mandelbaum, Eva Moss, Edwin Perlman, Robert Schubach, Michael Siegel, Gussie Seiden, Gitlia Scheingolds, Alfred Spiegler, and Hilda Waltman. There's a name of someone whom you're remembering this evening. You're welcome to say it aloud or add it in the comments. For them and for all those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we will recite together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute. B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabba mivarach le'olam ulamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. You may be seated. I'd like to invite Steve Seeskin to read the names of those veterans whom we're remembering. First, I'd like to offer this poem, The Last Soldier, by Jewish poet Alden Solovey. When the last soldier passes on, when armies are disbanded and militias discharged, when weapons are abandoned and armor discarded, your mission will at last be over. For you know the soldier's secret. Yours was not a mission of war, nor a mission of ruin. Yours was not a mission of destruction, nor a mission of death. Your mission was safety, security, protection. Your mission was honor, loyalty, service. Your mission was to end violence, tyranny, despair. When the last soldier passes on, when the uniforms are retired and the final grave filled, we will remember all who served and sacrificed for our nation. Until then, God of old, watch over our soldiers and our veterans. Renew their courage, rebuild their strength, heal their wounds, bind their hearts with your steadfast love. Remember them, bless them, sustain them, and give them peace. If you have a name of a veteran whom you're remembering and you did not share it beforehand, please feel free to add it in the comments.
After I read the names that are being remembered, Larry Reamer, a congregant, also a veteran, will provide taps, both in the American version and in the Israeli version, and that will be through a tape.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Folks rise?
If you'd like, you may rise while I read these names who are being remembered, veterans being remembered. Ellery Block is remembering his father, Samuel Block, U.S. Army, World War I. Herb Bronstein is remembering his uncle, Leonard Bronstein, U.S. Army, World War II. Larry and Jean Eisenman are remembering Herman Snipe Eisenman, Larry's brother, U.S. Army, World War II. Bobby Eisenman, a brother, U.S. Army, 1946 through 1948. Morris Moby Blank, Larry's uncle, and U.S. Army World War II. Larry's uncle was from U.S. Army World War II. Gershon Bus David is Jean's uncle, U.S. Army World War II. Ellie Kaufman is remembering her husband, Rolf Kaufman, a first lieutenant in the U.S. Army. Jewish War Veterans Post number 122. We are remembering Marvin Whitman, who died this past year on March 9th. He was 95 years young. Saul Laub, he is remembering Ernest Laub, his brother, U.S. Coast Guard, World War II. Myself, my wife Joy, we're remembering my father, Charles Seeskin, U.S. Marines, World War II, and a Purple Heart recipient. My brother, Daniel Seeskin, U.S. Army during the Vietnam era. Philip Seeskin, an uncle, U.S. Navy, World War II. David Boyer, my uncle, U.S. Army, World War II. And Joy's father, Ted Williamson, U.S. Marine Corps, World War II. Sue Siegel is remembering her husband, Michael Siegel. Michael was in the U.S. Army Air Corps during World War II. He accomplished, this is remarkable, he accomplished 12 glider drops behind enemy lines. This is not a propelled airplane, this is a glider. Okay, to me those are, boy, that's a easy target. Anyway, he accomplished those 12 behind enemy lines. He engaged in combat at the Battle of the Bulge, one of the European theater's most horrible battlefields. And for that, he received 2 Silver Stars. Herb Solomon is remembering his uncle, William P. Tupolowski, U.S. Army, World War I. David Stein is remembering his father, Jack Stein, who was a quartermaster in World War II in the Pacific Theater, 1941 to 1945. And I will ask the rabbi, do we have any more that's come in?
Yes, Nick Serrani is remembering his uncles, Nick and Pascal Serrani. I think these are all of the veterans. We saw many of them also in our slideshow. I know there are many more whom we are remembering. Will remain standing for taps, as you said, from Larry Reamer, both U.S. and Israel taps. You may be seated. Steve, do you want to stay up here since we're going to have Kiddush and Motzi in just a moment? Perfect. Actually, I think that might be next. Let me just make sure. I believe it is. Yes, we're going to continue with Kiddush and Motzi. And Steve, you're already up here, so you are welcome to do that. Go for it.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei pari hagafin. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kadsho, v'yahava uvratzon, ikilanu, zicharon l'maaseh bereshit. Ki hu yom tequila lemikre kodesh zecher siyat mitzrayim. Ki banu bacharta v'atanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat ha'lechecha v'yahava uvratzon tikelanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. L'chaim to all of you. Good old sweet Mogan David.
Yes, it is.
Oh, my goodness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Stephen. We are going to conclude our Veterans Day Shabbat service this evening with God Bless America, which will be sung again by our Shar Yanim choir. First, if I can find it really quick, here we are. We'd just like to say some brief thank yous to everyone who helped make this this evening possible. I want to thank our virtual participants, Babette, Ellie, and Suzanne, as well as our Shar Yanim choir and Larry Reamer. I want to thank our wonderful musicians tonight, Gail Rose, Debbie Costa, Mary, and Nick. Thank you all so much. I want to thank Angelo, who's over here in the back taking care of all of the tech. You didn't see him, but he was there. I want to thank, again, Michal Aver Samuel for her beautiful words, and very much want to thank Steve Seeskin, who leads our Veterans Affinity Group and co-chaired Veterans Day Shabbat. And especially thank you to all of the veterans who joined us this evening. Thank you for your service. We'll conclude with God Bless America.
While the storm clouds gather far across the sea, let us swear allegiance to a land that's free. Let us all be grateful for a land so fair as we raise our voices in a solemn prayer. God bless America. This is the land that stands beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans, wide and far. God bless America, my own sweet home. God bless America, my own sweet home.
That concludes our service. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you, everybody.